Welcome, dear students, in today's lecture. Today, our topic of deliberation is the emergence of regional body, the South Asian Association of Regional Organization in South Asia. In this lecture, we are going to cover the following key topics. First, we will discuss the origin and emergence of the Saarc, and then we will discuss the structure of the Saarc, and after that, we will discuss the core objectives of the Saarc. Finally, I will give you a brief assessment of the Saarc and its achievements. After the World War II, two significant developments shaped the global politics: decolonization and regionalism. Many colonies in Asia and Africa attained independence from the colonial rule after being ruled for centuries by the European hegemons. For instance, the British ruled the Indian subcontinent for nearly 2 centuries. On the other hand, within Europe, several countries began to contemplate the path of regional integration to forestall a repeat of the devastating war. Initially, they launched European Coal and Steel Community in 1951. They then took a more decisive step towards regional integration by signing the Treaty of Rome in 1957, which created the European Economic Community and finally transformed into the European Union. The transformation of Europe with the European Union at its core is remarkable, to say the least, in contrast to what it was in the first half of the 20th century, when most of the European countries waged war against each other, resultantly leading to 2 world wars among the European nations. European model of the regional integration was emulated by other regions of the world, leading to the creation of several regional organizations such as Association of Southeast Asian Nations in 1967, African Union, and the League of Arab States. The South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, commonly known as Saarc. However, unlike other regional organizations, Saarc has seen many ups and downs since its inception in 1985. Consequently, the Saarc as a regional body has little to show in terms of matching with its foundational objectives and in terms of reaching its benefits to the people and institutions within this South Asian region. Nonetheless, it has withstood various turbulent political developments at the regional level, particularly continued hostility between regional nuclear powers, India and Pakistan. The current lecture is an attempt to answer some of the fundamental questions about Saarc, from its emergence and objectives to achievements and challenges, and of course prospects within a broader regional and international political framework. Let me begin with the emergence and evolution of the Saarc. South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, hereafter referred to as Saarc, was formally established on 8 December 1985. Prior to this, the idea of regional cooperation in Asia was discussed in at least 3 conferences: the Asian Relations Conference in New Delhi in March-April 1947, the Baguio Conference in the Philippines in May 1950, and Colombo Powers Conference in April 1954. However, none of these attempts could lead to Asian integration. So, it was finally in 1970s that the Bangladesh President General Ziaur Rahman seemed to have been working on an Asian-like organization in South Asia, which ultimately came to existence in the form of Saarc. The establishment of the Saarc was the first formal regional building initiative in South Asia in which the term South Asia became official and arguably emerged as the dominant term to define the region. It is important to mention here that the term South Asia recently entered the regional lexicon. Earlier, the region which we know today as South Asia was generally described as India or the Indian subcontinent, primarily based on the idea of civilizational unity and historical continuity. The preparation for the Saarc started in 1977 when then Bangladesh President General Ziaur Rahman seemed to have been working on the idea of an ASEAN-like organization within South Asia. However, before making a formal proposal, the Bangladeshi president began consultation informally with South Asian leaders during the bilateral visits and the sidelines of various international forums. He visited Nepal, India, Pakistan and Sri Lanka between 1977 to 1978, in which he discussed his intention to propose a regional organization in South Asia with the leaders of these South Asian countries. In these discussions, the president emphasized the necessity of collective self-reliance in a common quest for peace and development of all countries in the South Asian region. Subsequently, in 1980, Ziaur Rahman formally proposed a framework for the regional cooperation in South Asia in the form of a draft titled "A Paper on the Proposal for Regional Cooperation in South Asia." The novel initiative received a positive response from all the Saarc countries. Afterwards, a series of meetings of the foreign secretaries and foreign ministers took place in which various aspects of the organization and the potential areas of cooperation were worked out. The first meeting of the foreign secretaries of the 7 countries, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, was held in Colombo in Sri Lanka in April 1981 for the regional cooperation. It was agreed within this meeting that the regional cooperation should be based on mutual trust, understanding and sympathetic appreciation of the national aspirations of all the countries of the Saarc region. The members in this particular meeting identified 5 broad areas for regional cooperation: agriculture, rural development, telecommunications, meteorology, and health and population activities. This initial process culminated in the formal launching of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation at the first ever summit of the 7 South Asian states in Dhaka in December 1985. Its 7 founding members are Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Afghanistan joined organization in 2007. So now it has 8 members. There are 9 other countries as observers: Australia, European Union, Iran, Japan, Mauritius, South Korea, United States of America, China and Myanmar. Meetings of the heads of the states are usually scheduled annually, while as foreign secretaries meetings are held twice a year. Saarc headquarters are located in Nepal. Since then, various initiatives were undertaken to consolidate the modalities of Saarc, which roughly continued until 1992. Hence, 1980 to 1992 period is usually conceived as the formative phase of the Saarc. The organization strived to find a direction, identify potential areas of cooperation and build an institutional structure during this period. In the early 1990s, the Saarc moved to a new phase by undertaking efforts for regional integration and starting cooperation in core economic areas such as trade in goods and services, investment, finance, etc. The first substantive step in this regard was taken in the year 1993 with the signing of the Saarc Preferential Trading Arrangement, commonly known as SAPTA, thus opening a new chapter in the evolution of Saarc. The agreement was characterized as a significant achievement The trading arrangement was upgraded by the conclusion of the South Asian Free Trade Area Agreement in 2004, which by historical measures was an ambitious economic plan for the region. In the meantime, Saarc added new areas to the agenda of cooperation. The 11 stated areas of collaboration are agriculture, education, culture and sports, health, population and child welfare, environment and meteorology, rural development, including the Saarc Youth Volunteers Program, tourism, transport, science and technology, communications, women in development, prevention of drug trafficking and drug abuse. The Saarc Charter stipulates that the decisions must be unanimous and the bilateral and contentious issues are to be avoided in the Saarc meetings. Now let us discuss the institutional structure of the Saarc. According to Saarc Charter, the highest authority of the association rests with the heads of the state or government. Nonetheless, there are other essential bodies within the Saarc responsible for the decision making and processes and its functioning. Now let me come to the Saarc bodies and their composition and primary functions. And I will begin by the Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers comprises the Ministry of Foreign or External Affairs of the member states as provided in the Article 5th of the Saarc Charter. The Council undertakes the following functions. First, formulation of policies of the association. Second, review of the progress of cooperation under Saarc. Third, decision on new areas of cooperation. Fourth, establishment of the additional mechanism under Saarc is necessary. Decision making on other matters of general interest to the Saarc. The Council is mandated to meet twice a year and hold its extraordinary session by agreement among the member states. The other important sub-regional body is Standing Committee. The Standing Committee comprises the foreign secretaries of the Saarc member countries. As provided in the Article 5th of the Saarc Charter, the functions of the Standing Committee are as following. First, overall monitoring and coordination of the program of cooperation under different areas. Approval of the projects and programs, including modalities of their financing. And other is the determination of intersectoral priorities, mobilization of regional and external resources, and identification of new areas of cooperation based on appropriate studies. Standing Committee is mandated to meet as often as necessary. Generally, they meet prior to the Council of Ministers sessions, that is, during the summit and in between the two summits. The committee reports to the Council of Ministers on routine matters and asks for a specific decision on policy matters from the Council. Third important body within Saarc structure is the Technical Committee. Technical Committee consists of representatives of member states who are responsible for implementing, coordinating and monitoring the programs in their respective areas of cooperation. Apart from determining the potential and the scope of regional cooperation in agreed areas, technical committees are involved in the formulation of programs and preparations of projects. They also coordinate the implementation of the sectoral programs and assesses the performance regularly. These technical committees work on their respective areas to provide support to the Saarc activities. The various technical committees are Technical Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development, Technical Committee on Health and Population Activities, Technical Committee on Women, Youth and Children, Technical Committee on Science and Technology, Technical Committee on Transport, Technical Committee on Environment. Now let us discuss the Programming Committee. The fifth session of the Standing Committee held on 4th December 1985 set up the programming committee to assist the standing committee in matters relating to selection of the regional projects, including their location, cost sharing modalities among the member states, and mobilization of the external resources, intersectoral priorities of work program, and review of the calendar of activities. It generally meets before the sessions of the standing committee. It's also mandated to convene on a stand-alone basis to coordinate the approved Saarc programs and activities. The other important body of the Saarc is the Secretariat. The Saarc Secretariat is based in Kathmandu. It coordinates and monitors the implementation of activities, prepares for service meetings, and serves as a communication channel between the association and its member states and other regional organizations. The Secretariat is headed by the Secretary General, appointed by the Council of Ministers from the member states in alphabetical order for 3 years term. 8 directors assist the Secretary General on the deputation from the member states. Now let us discuss the regional centers. The regional centers of the Saarc are established in member countries, are considered supporting pillars to the Secretariat for promoting regional cooperation. These regional centers are managed by respective government entities comprising representatives from the member states, the Saarc Secretary General, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the host government. Now let us discuss the financial arrangement within the Saarc. Member states make provisions in their respective national budgets for financing activities and programs under the Saarc framework, including contributions to the Secretariat budget and regional institutions. The financial provisions thus made is announced annually at the meeting of the Standing Committee. The annual budget of the Secretariat, both for capital and recurrent expenditure, is shared by the member states based on an agreed formula. The initial cost of the main building of the Secretariat, together with all facilities and equipments, and that of the Annex C building completed in 1993, has been met by the host government. The respective host government bears a minimum of 40% of the institutional cost of the regional institutions, and the balance is shared by the all member states according to an agreed formula. The host government usually bears the capital expenditure of regional institutions, including physical infrastructure, furnishing machines, and other equipments. According to the agreed formula, the program expenditure of regional institutions is also shared by the member states. In the case of activities under the approved calendar, the local expenses, including hospitality, within agreed limits, are borne by the host government. In contrast, the sending government meets the cost of air travel of their respective delegates. This was all about the institutional structure and sub-bodies of Saarc. Now let us come to the another component of today's lecture, which is objectives of the Saarc. The core objectives of the Saarc organization were set considering the challenges and issues of the member countries. Its goals are laid down in the Saarc Charter. Some of the important objectives of the Saarc Charter are to promote the welfare of the people of South Asia and to improve their quality of life, to accelerate economic growth, social progress, and cultural development in the region, and to provide all individuals with the opportunity to live in dignity and to realize their full potential. The other important objective of the Saarc is to promote and strengthen the collective self-reliance among the member countries of the South Asia, to contribute to the mutual trust, understanding and appreciation of one another's problems, to promote active collaboration and mutual assistance in the economic, social, cultural, technical and scientific fields, and of course to strengthen cooperation with other developing countries, to strengthen cooperation among themselves in international forums on the matters of common interests, to cooperate with the international and regional organizations with similar aims and objectives. These are some of the primary objectives set by the Saarc members. To conclude the entire lecture on the Saarc, I would like to say that Saarc is seen as a failure by many experts in the South Asian region. According to various observers and analysts, Saarc has achieved little over 40 odd years of existence. Besides deteriorating regional security environment and growth of terrorism in Pakistan and Afghanistan, interstate disputes are also a nagging concern for the grouping. Social and economic sectors have registered dismal growth, and so is the intra-regional trade. However, it cannot be condoned that the Saarc as a regional body has been able to sustain itself against all odds despite many ups and downs within the region. It is the only regional platform to hold all regional countries together. However, it has to move a long way before achieving some of its main objectives. In this regard, India and Pakistan, two important South Asian countries, have to play a needful and important role and leave their political rivalry aside and ensure that the Saarc speeds up its regional integration process on core issues such as poverty, environmental degradation, economic prosperity, etc. Both the nations have extra responsibility in regional integration through Saarc and utilize the resources of the member countries towards the overall development of the entire South Asian region. With this, we conclude today's lecture. I hope you have been able to gather the essence of the lecture. Thank you.